Seneca, you're watching the English news at Now at Noon with me, Charlotte on Now 26. Well, we've heard from the European Union. Now it's the United States' turn as this morning Thais wake up to other comments now coming from an official in the United States saying that Thailand has put the U.S. in a very difficult position. In fact, they believe that the military rule will continue for quite some time. This comes from Scott Marshall, or Marcial, the U.S. Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia, who says that Thailand has put the United States in a difficult position as military rule is likely to last longer than expected and be more repressive than the 2006 coup d'etat. The senior official tells a congressional hearing in Washington that there will be consideration of whether to hold the annual regional Cobra Gold military exercise in Thailand in May next year. Officials at the congressional hearing suggest moving the military exercise to Australia, as letting Thailand take part could, quote, clearly send the wrong message. Marcial, however, says the challenge for the United States is to give a clear support for a rapid return to democracy and fundamental freedoms, which also means maintaining and strengthening relations and security alliance. Marcial says Washington hopes that strong international criticism of the military takeover would lead to an easing of repression and an early return to democracy. As required by the U.S. law, Washington has frozen $4.7 million of security-related assistance since the coup and canceled high-level engagements, some military exercises, and training programs for the military and police. Washington has also yet to decide whether Thailand would receive a presidential waiver on sanctions, including the withdrawal of U.S. support at the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank that could be imposed for its failure to deal with human trafficking. Well, in response to that, General Prayut Chan-o-cha, the NCPO head, says that he is unfazed. Business will be continuing on for the military government as they are going to continue with their roadmap to democracy. He comments this as the head of the National Council for Peace and Order, saying that there is not going to be anything bothering his plan, irrespective of the opposition from the United States and the European Union. At Army headquarters, Prayut says the NCPO would speed up on several works and would try to cut procedures to get them done as soon as possible. The EU had downgraded ties with the Thai government or the Thai military because of the power seizure by the military, while the U.S. government has condemned the coup and canceled all military exercises. Meanwhile, yesterday, the European Union clarified that it had not passed sanctions against Thailand, as some may have misunderstood, and that talks, including on free trade agreement, are expected to continue on both working and technical levels, according to the Foreign Ministry of Thailand, which clarified this in a press conference whereby the EU ambassador to Thailand, Jesus Michael Sanz, was present. Well, in terms of the private sector here, the FTI has said that the EU may have to be careful with what they say or do because it could mean repercussions. The trade between the two sides means that both sides will lose out, according to the Federation of Thai Industries, or the FTI chairman Supan Mongkol Suthi, who warns that the EU's decision to curtail diplomatic ties with Thailand after the coup d'etat could result in repercussions. Supan says the benefits from free trade agreements normally were bilateral, and if the EU continued with this measure, it would also lose out on benefits. Despite the EU refusing to sign a partnership deal, which includes the FTA, Supan says the private sectors on both sides could continue trading. He says it is up to the private sector to create confidence among trading partners. Supan says the FTI and the Board of Trade would not provide any advice and would allow the junta to handle the situation on its own. Meanwhile, Kun Somkit Jattu-Sipitak, an economic advisor for the military's ruling NCPO, says Thailand has to show its commitment by making other countries understand that the military government is working on tackling problems in Thai society. He adds that eventually foreign confidence would return. He also says it's a good time to take care of social problems and show sincerity in fixing problems, as he believes that the EU's reactions are normal on the international level and that Thailand should use this as a lesson for private and public sectors to work together to restore confidence. Well, in the meantime, though, in ASEAN, the Philippines has showed a very significant support for the military expansion of Japan, following increasing tension in the South China Sea. The visit of the president, or the prime minister rather, of Japan, Shinzo Abe, brought on this call as the Philippine president, Benigno Aquino III, on Tuesday endorsed Abe's push to amend Japan's constitution and expand the Japanese role on the regional security amid China's expansive moves. The Filipino leader, after meeting with Abe, expressed his support for Abe's proposal to reinterpret Japan's pacifist constitution to allow its military to defend not only Japan, but also its allies that are under attack. Abe has proposed to revisit Article 9 of the Japanese Charter, which bans the right to collective self-defense. And the proposal faces tough opposition, though, amidst the Japanese citizens who do not want their country to participate in a war, of course, mainly because of their experience during World War II. But Japan is only one of two countries in which the Philippines has, quote, strategic partnership. The other is the United States. Well, in the meantime, though, here in Thailand, there has been ongoing progress on probes in the rice pledge scheme and also scams. The latest report comes from a man in Samut Prakan, as he has been in the spotlight specifically because he has been close to the Thaksin administration in the past. His name is Kun Apichat Jansakunporn, as he is the president of the agri-trading company. A Samut Prakan provincial court yesterday sentenced him to 6 years in jail and fined him 12,000 baht after finding him guilty of embezzlement and fraud for his failure to deliver a 200 million broken rice shipment to Iran. Now, the managing director and now bankrupt president agri company was prosecuted by the Office of the Attorney General on these charges. And so the court has told that the fraud, when it did take place, was when the company had failed to deliver 20,000 tons of 5% broken rice to Iran in 2007. So with that, the CEO, or the president of the agri-trading, which was the leading rice exporter, is going to be under arrest. And he has been known, apparently, to be quite close to Kun Wattana Meungsuk, who was a Minister of Commerce during the Thaksin administration in the past. So that was a bit scandalous in terms of the headlines this morning. Anyways, we're going to take a short break. Up next, we'll continue on to talk about Thailand's positions in the pressure of international criticisms.